This episode of WoW Superheroes was bookended by two championship matches. The first being the WoW World Tag Team Championship match between Miami Sweet Heat and the Mother Truckers, and the last one being the main event for the WoW World Championship. Of course, this is Steph and Kat Talk WoW.
Yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape for every one of us. I was kinda late, cause I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the faith, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what's great. Ladies and gentlemen, Steph Hardy is on the air. Had to
Hey y'all, happy Wednesday, and of course, welcome to this new episode of Steph and Kat Talk WoW, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Kat We Trust. We are so happy to be before you on yet another Wednesday during Women's History Month, where we talk about the hottest all-women's wrestling show on television, WoW Women of Wrestling Superheroes. I'm, of course, your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, contributing writer for Daily DDT, and color commentator featured on the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, Black Girl Magic 2022, and Spartan Wrestling. And of course, I'm open for any and all bookings during this year. I'm open. But of course, I am not alone. I am with my amazing tag team partner, creator of In Kat We Trust and creator of the Women of Color in Wrestling panel featured in various comic conventions throughout the country, as well as an amazing writer herself for Daily DDT and other platforms, and an author, Miss Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
I'm fine. A little tired. As I said before we started, but I am fine. Happy to be here. I do have some thoughts about this episode, but when we get to there, we'll get to there because I got some stuff to say. But yes, happy to be here.
Absolutely. And for those who are watching on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, on Facebook, or anywhere else, thank you guys so much for tuning in and for just being on this ride with us as we continue to support this all women's brand as it continues to grow. And also chime in the comments if you want to just pop in and just say hi, or if you want to pop in and talk about things that have caught your interest when it comes to the WoW superheroes, or talk about anything that you just want to get off your chest when it comes to any one of the superheroes. Feel free to light up the chat and your comments will definitely show up on the screen. So before we get to this amazing episode of WoW, we got a little bit of news to talk about in terms of two of our absolute favorite WoW superheroes from the WoW Tag Team Division, Kona and Chaos, known collectively as the Tonga Twins, who are the former WoW Tag Team Champions who we have had on our show and interviewed with before. We were so happy to have them. Were announced as guests of Wale Mania in Philadelphia. Of course, within the next few weeks, WrestleMania is happening both nights in Philadelphia at the Lincoln Financial Center. And every year, I would say for the past maybe 7 to 10 years, Wale, the famed rapper who's been Grammy nominated, who you've seen perform lots of times and has been on WWE programming multiple times before, especially with the famous New Day versus Usos rap battle. He hosts this event that gathers wrestlers from all promotions and has a different concert or get-togethers with them. And we drink, we talk, we party, we dance to all kinds of wrestling music. And it's just a wrestling vibe. And it was announced earlier this week by Kazim, who is an esteemed wrestling journalist who is mainly featured on the Ringer Wrestling Show Network for Spotify, announced that the Tonga Twins will be there at Wale Mania. This blessed my soul when I saw it because I am still going to Philadelphia and I am going to Wale Mania. So the idea of them being able to be there surrounded by so many other amazing guests, and of course the guests of honor being Shelton Benjamin, like it's just an amazing vibe. And I was just so excited and ecstatic for them getting this opportunity. So Katrina, tell me how you felt when well, at least when I shared the news with you or when you saw that they were going to be at Wale Mania.
Uh, well, I'm not somebody who's actually attended any Wale Manias, so I can't give the first-hand experience for anybody who has. But I can't go off that, but I can go off of how much I know most of my wrestling friends who have been, and I say in particularly the black ones and the ones of color who have been there very particularly, have always enjoyed their time there. I just remember how awesome it was to see pictures of Naomi, Trinity, last year, especially after everything that kind of happened with her the first time around in WWE. And so the level of just love I was able to see for her being there was awesome. And so in knowing that about Wally Mania, that is literally just for some, wrestling, obviously, but good vibes and just kind of appreciating, things that I would say is part of the black culture to an extent in regards to like wrestling black culture. It's cool that they're on there. I think that, considering like while we are aware of them, a lot of people I've been noticing weren't, at least pretty recently when I've been seeing them being posted up and things and with pictures with Rikishi and everything. And people was like, well, who is this? And I'm like, well, if you watch this show, then you will see who the girlies are. And so to kind of see that the announcement, knowing that now this will truly open up the access to people who may not know who they are. They will now know who they are, and they're fantastic wrestlers, fantastic ladies, um, who we've been very fortunate to be able to interview. They're just and I think that's amazing. I think this is another door for them. And while we were speculating if there's going to be something with them and Mercedes, which would be awesome if it is. Even if it isn't, anything, just this is just a door as well. And I think I'm all for getting the bag, get your coins, open the doors, knock the doors down, whatever you gotta do that. And so I'm happy that they're there. I'm happy that they got announced. I'm happy. I think this would be great for them, truly. Um, and hopefully for the people there who don't really know who they are, now they will.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And as someone who went to Wale Mania just last year, like I had always heard about it. So the idea of me going was just really insane. And I think even the way that I imagined it, it was almost like three times that because you're walking in, and this was at the Novo last year in Los Angeles. You're walking in, you see sort of like this sort of nightclub vibe and everything, and you're sort of standing around dancing, talking to everybody, hobnobbing it up with all your wrestling fan, friends that you're making in that atmosphere. And then on the stage you've got all these DJs, talking about and playing all these wrestling themes and regular music as well. And then you also witness a lot of wrestlers, intermingling with the people as well. And that was just, an amazing thing to even witness, like these people walking around dressed up in regular clothes like you and, just hanging out. And a lot of them were really nice and stuff, and everything. And I had posted my pictures from it, last year as well. So it was a really great vibe. And I just can't wait to see, how the Tonga twins will actually, intermingle with that. And this is a level of stardom, hopefully by tonight. They will have reached a level of stardom and a level of exposure that will definitely like send them into the stratosphere, and they definitely deserve it because they are so talented, they're beautiful, they're fierce, like everything about them, just screams superstars. And I'm just so happy, for Kona and Chaos in that aspect, and I can't wait to see what else they have in store for us. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting stuff. But yeah, Philadelphia's got some crazy stuff going on, and WoW has someone there, so it's great. So, with that in mind, we move into the episode proper to talk about what's happening. This episode was called A Very Important Main Event. And of course, it aired from March, this past weekend, March the 9th through the 10th. And of course, you have Eric Eisen in the chat saying, hi, thank you so much for coming. You didn't pull up in the comment section this time, but you pulled up when you could. And I appreciate that. But usually you already post up, you already here, but it's all right. It's all right. You are here with us, and that's all that matters. And so this episode of WoW started with Abilene Maverick, the WoW World Champion, cutting a promo on the Beast because, of course, she has her match coming in the main event that we will get to because, honey, it was some stuff. And she was out here talking about how she's the rightful champion regardless of when anybody has to say. The crowd was booing her and saying that they wanted the Beast. And she was like, no, the Beast isn't coming out here. No, I'm out here and all of the above. And after everything that she was saying, she was talking mad trash about the Beast. The Beast came out to confront her, and she looked like she was absolutely terrified of what was about to happen. And the Beast ran after her, and then Abilene ran away, and then the referees broke them up. And it was just really funny how the trajectory of Abilene's countenance just changed. She was just like, oh, well, I'm the rightful champion and nobody cares about what she has to say because she had to work her way back up and nobody cares. But then as soon as the Beast came out there, all that noise was quieted immediately. So it was just really funny how she came out there with all of that bad energy and then she just had to take it back and run away. So of course this fed into what the main event was going to be. And they had more of a promo afterward with Abilene talking about how the Beast had to work her way back up and how she wasn't obligated to have an opportunity and nobody and basically said like that she didn't owe her anything because I am the WoW World Champion. And the Beast said, look, I don't care what you call yourself. I'm the big bad beast. And when we step into the ring, we'll see who the top dog is. And that's where their segment ended. So, Katrina, how did you feel about hearing what Abilene Maverick had to say before their main event match and what the Beast had to say, or at least show and prove on her part?
Yeah, I really didn't want Abilene to say anything. Honestly, like I get your champion, but I'm tired. I'm tired of her nonsense. I'm tired of her promos of what all she gotta say, doing shenanigans. Like, girl, please. Like again, girl, please. I you know, said we would get there, but I was fine with the Beast's reaction during that. She was actually held on a lot better than I would have. To be fair, she would have got beats every week leading up to this match if I was the Beast. And so I was fine with her. Abilene can really go somewhere though. I didn't care about anything she was saying because I'm like, girl. And then that just like, so we get there. Just was confirmed of just why she just irritates my soul. I feel like I might be even slightly more irritated than you were about Penelope Pink. And I feel like you knew the level of extent of how you did not like Penelope in that regard. And yeah, I feel like mine might be a tad worse just because girl. But yeah.
Yeah, it was really crazy. She really was, piling it on a bit and everything. And we will definitely get to that main event when it's time. But of course, this led into the first match on the card, which was the first bookend for the WoW World Tag Team Championship. And it was a hardcore, no disqualification match between the Mother Truckers, Big Rig Betty, and Holly Swag versus Miami Sweet Heat Lindsay and Lori Carlson. Now, I was not expecting this match to be as extreme as it was. When it really did surprise me when they said, "Oh, it's a hardcore no DQ match," but I was here for it because I always am a big fan of stipulations in matches. I love stuff like that. It sort of ups the ante, and I just love seeing women do stuff like this as well. This match was absolutely fantastic. It was high powered. Of course, the Mother Truckers came in with a point to prove. They came in and started wailing on the Carlson sisters immediately. But the Carlson twins came in with a good strategy by isolating and beating up on Betty and throwing her out of the ring and ganging up on Holly, and they proceeded to stomp on her and choke her out with their boots like they normally do and knock her down in so many different ways. And then they proceeded to implement weapons relatively early too, beating her with chairs, throwing her into two steel chairs on the mat, even grabbing a table and trying to slam her through it. And even more impressively, as they kept beating up on Big Rig Betty, they placed a trash can onto Holly Swag in the corner of the ring, as you can see. And Miss Lori, decided to go to the air again and do her coast to coast from one side of the ring to the other and smash Holly with the trash can. It was really insane during the first half of this match because it really did feel like the Carlson sisters had their number. But when it looked like they were about to give up and Holly Swag was placed on the table like a sacrificial lamb, like David McClain said on commentary, Betty got some new life and, started beating up on Lindsay. And then as Lori was getting ready to jump through the table onto Holly, Holly moved out of the way. And then Big Rig Betty hit a stunner to Lindsay, and then Holly covered up Lori for the 1, 2, 3 after she slammed herself through the table. And beautifully enough, we have new WoW Tag Team Champions in the form of the Mother Truckers. And they did cut a promo afterward talking about how proud they were to be the first mother-daughter duo to ever win the WoW World Tag Team Championships, and just, how proud they are of each other. And it was just an amazing, feat to see them do, an amazing history to see them make. So congratulations to the Mother Truckers. And also David McClain talked about how they started their careers in the Ohio and Kentucky area, and talked about how they were even featured on the OVW special Wrestlers on Netflix. So they really do have this shining moment, and it's amazing for them. So congratulations to the Mother Truckers. Eric Isaac in the comments congratulating them and calling them the new rightful champions. So Katrina, how did you feel about this hardcore match? What were some of your favorite parts, and how do you feel about the Mother Truckers being on top now?
I was surprised, honestly. Um, just because the Miami Sweet Heat just won them back. And so sometimes when titles kind of change quickly like that, I'm like, well, then what was the point of having, this other team lose if they weren't going to hold it long? And that's just more of a me, I guess, from a fan standpoint. It was like anytime you see a team that you want to keep it, lose it, only for the second team to get it, to lose it quickly, you're like, so why, did the rain end the way it did? And so to that part, I was a bit surprised. I do think it being more hard or more hardcore aggressive was the correct move, just because they had a lot of beef over the last few weeks. And it's kind of like similar to the Tongas and Miami Sweet Heat. Sometimes the only way to end that type of situation is to kind of put it all out there. And while Miami Sweet Heat and Tongas had a little bit more times to do that, they have been solely focusing on the Mother Truckers. And so I feel like that was the correct way to do it. I do like that, like, from the first time we've seen them kind of be hardcore, and how like the second time with Miami Sweet Heat hardly seemed more inclined to want to jump off things. And so now I feel like they're a little bit more comfortable with that kind of thing, and using, like, I felt like the first time they were doing it, but it was kind of like testing. I felt like the Tongas was a lot more aggressive in that first time, but then the second time I felt like they kind of was like, all right, got this, and they was more inclined to be more. So I felt like that experience kind of helped them in this one, where they were more willing to kind of do some stuff in this matchup, which would have been very different, let's say maybe a year ago. And so I thought that parts were cool. I guess as a parent, there's certain things you kind of understand, kind of trying to step and help your child, or kind of get that adrenaline or whatever it is that you may not have normally, that you would get to, want to help the child. And so I felt that was okay, I understand. As a mom, I understand that. But I'm cool with them becoming champions. We'll see how the reign's gonna be. We'll see if there's gonna be feuds. Now that it may be very possible that, Jesse and Amber are done with, Samantha and Americana. It's very possible that that could be the next goal. Like, as stated, she wanted to be a champion again. So we'll see. But I'm okay with them winning. It was like I was like, okay, okay, girlies, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, it was cool to watch them win. And I do understand from a fan perspective, why couldn't the mother truckers go face to face against the Tonga twins and not have to face, Miami Sweet Heat as, the champions for only a few weeks. Though I understand the idea of having Miami Sweet Heat winning those titles and breaking a record of having won the titles 3 times in a row, which no tag team has ever done before. But at the same time, it was kind of weird how they did that because, the Tonga twins were relatively great champions and they expressed interest when we interviewed them in fighting the Mother Truckers because they had never fought them before. So the idea that they didn't get that opportunity was a little bit, side eye-ish. I will, give you that. I do agree with that on that end. But at the same time, when you have Miami Sweet Heat and the amount of beef that they had with the mother truckers from the beginning, because they are partly responsible for the mother truckers being in WoW, because they were the ones who had to help tow their car when it quit working, when their engine went out, and they sort of had always felt like they were better than them anyway. So I guess at this point the mother truckers were just trying to prove that they were a cut above the rest when it comes to the tag team division. And I am very much happy that they won, because I've just been sort of, next to the Tonga twins, I've been sort of waiting for them to sort of have their, breakout moment. And I'm happy that it happened for them in this way. And they were able to beat, some nemesis who really just, didn't see it for them fully and really just looked down on them. So I'm really pumped for Betty and Holly, in this aspect. And the fact that you're succeeding side by side as mother and daughter, as someone who is really close to their mom, I completely understand. Accomplishing something like that with your mother is just a beautiful thing. So congratulations to them. It is a beautiful thing. And that was a really amazing way for the show to start, because usually you don't look for, a title change in the very beginning of a show. So for that to happen, it kicked off in a really beautiful way, and I liked it. So congrats to them, most definitely. So next, in our next match, we have Adriana Gambino, the undefeated one, going up against Sandy Shore, of course, of Spring Break 24/7, who we hadn't really seen in a long, long time. We haven't really seen them as a tag team or really them as singles. So it really surprised me to see Sandy Shore in this match. But either way, she did a pretty okay job. But it seemed that throughout this match, Adriana Gambino was just hell bent on maintaining her undefeated streak, and it seemed like she was dominating Sandy a little bit throughout this match. Like, even though there were a couple of spots there where Sandy was trying to fight back, like with the sunset flip and with a number of other moves and stuff, it just really felt like Adriana just had her number. And it felt pretty one-sided, throughout the rest of the match. But Adriana basically went forth and won her match with her chef's kiss, even though she did try to win it with her Sicilian slice. And she used a lot of her flexibility and her kicks that we basically know her for in order to win the match. So Adriana Gambino is still undefeated out here in these streets, and Sandy Shore, she put up a good effort, but it just wasn't enough. And now Miss Adriana Gambino is 9-0. So yeah, that was really all there is to say about that. Like, this match, it wasn't a short match, but it just felt so one-sided to the point to where it could have been. But either way, that's just how it went. So Kat, how do you feel about the performance of Adriana Gambino here against Sandy Shore?
I thought it was what we was. I wasn't surprised. I felt like she has been definitely on a tear now. The only left person left completely undefeated, and you got somebody. And this is not even shade to Sandy necessarily. It's more so Sandy. She's about fun and good times, and sometimes fun and good times you gotta pause that fun and good times to be serious or make sure you're kind of got your head in the game. And while she tried, I felt like she might have tried a little bit harder, knowing that if you knew your opponent was somebody who's completely undefeated and who has been pretty rough in her matches, I feel like you might want to watch that a little better. Watch some tape, whatever you need to do, kind of be better prepared. I felt like she was not prepared for Adriana at all. She was not prepared. And so I felt like, to an extent, why Sandy tried, Adriana kind of had her way with her in the ring. She pretty much did basically whatever she wanted to do in that regard, because I don't think Sandy really like paid attention to what who our opponent was. I felt like she just was not prepared for that. And so while Sandy's cool and all, I'm like, in a situation when you have somebody who's, again, the only undefeated person left on the roster, you got to bring your A game. And she definitely did not bring her A game. And so sadly, it just didn't work out for her. Again, with this now bringing it back to Adriana Gambino, I'm curious as when she's going to want to get the title shot, because she is undefeated, to be fair. And while when we get there, it could have been very different. Uh, Here we are, where I feel like, unfortunately, it's just going to be a bunch of nonsense for a lot longer than it needs to be. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane to see how Adriana has just risen from someone who we once saw, in the first season of this iteration of WoW, sort of pop up and be mainly in the tag division a lot of the time. And then to see her rise this season and just seeing how focused she is and how dominant she's been, and just seeing how, locked in she is and how she's really defeated just about everybody that she has faced off against. It's really insane. She's not doing any tag stuff. She is simply only doing singles and only focusing on herself. And that is paying dividends for her. And they did talk about that on commentary. Nigel did mention to David, like, when is she going to get her title opportunity? Because it only makes sense. She has been undefeated, all this time since the beginning of the season last September. So it only makes sense for her to get her opportunity at some point. And sadly, when it comes to Spring Break 24/7, even though they're primarily a tag team, I do wish that Sandy Shore was a little bit more prepared to face off against somebody like Adriana Gambino, but it just wasn't to be. And hopefully, they can shake the dust off of themselves and bounce back pretty soon. But as far as, everyone is concerned, Miss Adriana Gambino, the goddaughter of America's most famous family, is still,
because I'm undefeated.
seriously. She's undefeated. I am so happy I figured out how to do videos. So yeah, Adriana Gambino came out with the win here. So moving forward to the next match, we have the Classmaster. Of course, being accompanied with Samantha Smart, the leader of IQ Superior, versus Stephy Slays, the WoW OG. Now, she's somebody that we haven't seen since the Trios tournament, and since I believe she got eliminated from that tournament with the Mighty Mites. And to see her fight again was just really cool, because she's someone that I enjoy, not only just for athletic reasons, but also for personal reasons, because of course we have the same name, it's Steffi. But either way, seeing her perform against the Classmaster was interesting, because there's a power dynamic there, and then there's the fact that you have the Classmaster who towers above a lot of people. She's really tall. And you have Stephy Slays, who uses a lot of her speed to sort of duck and move out of the way and hit all kinds of drop kicks and everything. And she really did try her best in this match, to match wits with the Classmaster. Like, even in the beginning, the Classmaster tried to, do her big boot immediately, and Steffi was like, nope, and she ducked it. And I was like, okay, I see you moving out of the way. And she hit like a couple of drop kicks, but then you have the Classmaster who will lift you up. She lifted her up and then dropped her on her knee and tried to break her back. Like, the Classmaster was being very methodical and, tearing apart Steffi Slays throughout this entire match. And it was just a back and forth between the two, and Classmaster, she hit a snapmare takeover, and then she kept kicking Steffi Slays over and over again, and then she lifted her and did a read a book leg drop, which I thought was just a really funny name for a leg drop. A read a book leg drop, because she'll tell you in a minute, y'all need to read a book, read a book, read a book. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, stop it. And during this part of the match, this was where Nigel Zane was talking to David McClain about books that he's been reading lately. Mainly in terms of women's wrestling history and so many other interests, like self-love, which I think is really amazing to read about self-love. If sometimes you just need to take some time and read. So I understand. But either way, the Classmaster wound up defeating wound up defeating her with a big boot again, and she didn't duck it this time, and the Classmaster won and looked pretty dominant towards the end of the match. So the Classmaster won, and Steffi Slays here again loses another match, which is pretty frustrating, but that's just how everything is going now for her, and it's sad. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of Steffi Slays in comparison to the Classmaster?
Uh, I don't know with regards to Steffi, like what she needs to do to like get it together, or why things are just not working out for her this season. It appears like seems like she tries hard and then it just doesn't go the way we're thinking it's going to go, and that's unfortunate. I definitely do think the Classmaster was a lot more aggressive. I definitely do think there's a bit of a size difference there, and Classmaster definitely used it against Steffi. But poor Steffi, it makes you feel bad. It makes you feel bad because it's like, oh man, are we gonna actually get some wins for this girl? Like, are we, for this woman? It's unfortunate. I feel like she tried so hard, and it's just not working out the way she wanted to work out, and that's again unfortunate. It's truly unfortunate. But I do think, in regards to Classmaster, she definitely came out very aggressive, and in her case, it worked out for her because he was like, you know what, is somebody as nice as Steffi. Like, I am also a firm believer, like, niceness is fine, but in a situation you gotta do a job, you get a job done. You gotta do what you gotta do, put your best foot forward, if that even means being a bit more aggressive than normal. And so good win for her. I just Steffi, it's like, oh girl, like what do she need to help her get it together? Because it's not been her season. It has not been. Like, she is somebody who's literally been on the wrong end of the stick here this season, and that's unfortunate.
It really has been unfortunate. Like, you definitely hate to see it because it's like they say on commentary all the time, like, she was one of, the OGs of WoW. And then on top of that, they were talking about, all the troubles that she once faced from Abilene Maverick during the other iteration of WoW, where she kept messing with her all the time. And then she even had a chance at the world title, but I don't think she ever won that. We've even seen clips of Abilene Maverick antagonizing Steffi Slays all the time. And it's so funny, that they would mention that here as she's preparing to fight against the Classmaster, who was mainly a new girl. And it's just like, when are we going to let Steffi Slays, have a chance? Like, we really might need to start a hashtag and say, give Steffi Slays a chance, because every time she loses, it just breaks my heart. And then they also love to talk about, how she's, also a hospital worker and how she helps deliver babies. That's amazing. I feel like that's an amazing story that we should feed more into and know more about in terms of her background, instead of them just sort of resting on the laurels of her just being, a WoW OG. Like, they really need to lean more so into her story and help the audience and us get more invested in her, so we can want to watch her win and not just consistently watch her put all these other people over, in terms of an insider term there. Like, I do want better for my girl. Like, I really do. And she definitely deserves better than to just be losing to all these new people. Like, it's just, at some point, enough is enough. Okay, enough is enough. So yeah, we do want better for Steffi Slays here, but the Classmaster won, and she also had help. She had an assist from Miss Samantha Smart, who hit Steffi Slays in the ankles with her yardstick, because managers are going to manager. So that's how that worked. So after that match, they did a recap of the Beast's journey from her winning the WoW World title in earlier seasons, to her, being a dominant champion. And then, of course, that first injury that she sustained in that triple threat match versus Tormenta and Reina Del Rey last season, and then her coming back from said injury and then getting re-injured by the attacker, who was revealed to be Vickie Lynn McCoy. And after that point, they showed her recovery process and how she was finally able to bounce back, come back to the ring, get her revenge on Vickie Lynn McCoy, and, you know, reach the title picture again. So that was a nice little recap to see there, to get more invested in the Beast journey for this. And then after that, they showed us what we have to look forward to this weekend on WoW. And of course, we are getting the finals of the WoW Trios tournament. And that match is, of course, going to have Team Exile, that's Genesis, Exodus, and Ice Cold, versus Team Spirit, that's Coach Campanelli, Pep Riley, and Sasha Sparks, because Ariel Sky is still out with injury as far as we know. So that is happening on this episode of WoW coming this weekend. I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to get into that later. So yeah, this has been a fantastic tournament, and it all is going to come to a head, and we get to see who gets to win that amazing trophy. So Katrina, do you have any last minute predictions for the Trios tourney before we go to the main event?
It's either gonna, I don't know. I feel like it could very well be, Exile. It could be, but I can also kind of see Coach Campanelli kind of doing it for, for the girls if she needs to do what she needs to do, because she kind of feels she always have to come in clutch if needed. As a good coach, I guess, would say. And so I feel like it's either one or the other. Honestly, I feel like just how it's been going, leading up to this, it has to be one or the other. I will be very surprised if it isn't.
Yeah, it has to be one or the other, but honestly, my prediction is Team Spirit, because even though they had a little bit of a rocky road when it comes to them, you know, recruiting Sasha Sparks or whatnot, I still feel that they are a little bit more united and more, you know, collectively together than I would say Team Exile has been lately, because like we said last week, Ice Cold even had her singles match and that she did wind up losing, but yet she still had an amazing showing there. And I'm wondering, did they even know that she was going to have the singles match, you know, while they're still participating in this tournament? So not to throw any shade on them, because I love Exile or whatever, but I definitely predict that it's going to be Team Spirit to come out with the win, and they're going to win that trophy. And here's hoping that they will have WoW Trios title belts. Please give them title belts. Please, 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 please. Don't let them just carry that big old trophy. Yes, that trophy looks cool and all, but give them championships. Give them championships. Championship culture. That's not a plug, but either way, please give it to them. Either way, I can't wait for that. So, we get to our main event, which was, of course, The Beast versus Abilene Maverick for the WoW World Championship. And when I tell you this match was pretty good for the most part, it really was. The Beast was very dominant throughout the match, but Abilene Maverick was using her crafty tactics to sort of, you know, try to weigh the Beast down. There was one point where Abilene, you know, was kind of running away from the Beast, but then she was also, you know, trying to choke her, would just power out of it and just slam her down onto the mat. And then there was a point where Abilene was thrust into the ring corner, but then she moved out of the way for the Beast to spear and sort of hurt her shoulder into the ring post. But even with all of those dirty tactics and with her trying to choke the Beast out with her legs and thighs or whatever, it just wasn't working, because the Beast is just not, you know, your average everyday human. This is a woman who will throw you around like a rag doll and not care anything about it. Her strength is there, okay? And you just can't deny it. She is very, you know, she's just amazing, and she's just really, really imposing. And Abilene Maverick knew that. And right when it definitely looked like the Beast had her dead to rights with that powerful Beast bomb, and she hit her with the 1, 2, 3, we really did think that the Beast was the new WoW World Champion, right? I was excited. I was crunk in my kitchen watching it. I was so happy for her. But Miss Ma'am Abilene had another trick up her sleeve and said, and told the referee, I got hit in the head. I got hit in the head. Help me. And he was just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then Paige comes out and she checks the Beast to see if she has anything on her, you know, to prove that she hit her in the head. And then, boom, Paige pulls out some brass knuckles. And with that, the Beast was disqualified, and Abilene Maverick is still the Wild World Champion based off of some evil shenanigans. And this was the way that the episode ended. It ended with the Beast screaming at Abilene saying, "I'm going to get you. This is not over." And Abilene was acting like, she won in some dominant fashion or whatever. And it was just really, really sad. It took the air out of our sails. I'm sure it did. But it really made me upset. But before I get more into my feelings, I'm going to let Katrina rock because Abilene is her worst enemy. So, Kat, take it away.
I just want David McLean. I truly, truly, truly want him to. I feel like there's a little bit of favoritism here with Abilene. I feel like truly. Like I know you had your feelings about Penelope, and Penelope, while I did like her, she definitely did engage in shenanigans. But I feel like even these type of shenanigans might even be worse than Penelope. It's like over the because at least like there was other people doing shenanigans for her. Like you are sitting here, and the acting wasn't even good acting, and I'm like, y'all fell for this. Referees who watch nothing else, you guys never seem to notice anything else that happens in the ring. Y'all just always oblivious to the blatant nonsense that has gone on with people in WoW. But now all of a sudden, Abilene does this terrible lifetime acting job, and now you believe her, and then you're sitting here looking, and then you happen to fought. Be for real. Do she need brass knuckles? Are we playing this game? Do somebody like the Beast as dominant as she is, one of the most dominant women on there? Do she need brass knuckles? That's not a dominant person move. That's a cowardly move. Anybody who's ever used brass knuckles always acted cowardly. That doesn't sound like, guys, let's use some common sense. That annoyed me. I was truly, truly annoyed. I was like, yes, right on time. At the tail end of Black History Month, the beginning of Women's History is perfect. She never lost. Perfect. Oh no. Here she goes acting. And now she's still champion. I'm gonna need David to get off whatever it is, whatever you're doing on comment, whatever is happening. I need you to take a minute, drink some water, stretch a little bit, and come back in with a better mindset to be like, girl, stop it. This is his. I blame him for this because you've been allowing shenanigans for a week. The first week we seen her, he's been allowing the shenanigans. Why? Where was you putting your foot down when Princess Aussie didn't get her belt the first time, and she had to wait to get it? Where were you putting your foot down? Where was the referees during those shenanigans when Princess Aussie won it and she didn't have the belt right away? Where was this level of diligence from the referees? Not there. All of a sudden, the Beast, and again, somebody who does not need to have extra parts to help her be dominant. Oh, let's want to pretend to be thorough, and now Abilene is still champion, somebody who is known for shenanigans, and nobody says anything. I was highly annoyed. Highly annoyed. I'm like, see, I might feel a lot worse than Steph felt. That's what I was thinking during that. Like, okay, no, this is a lot. That like you and the beef with Penelope was on site. Me, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm not liking this. I'm not liking these vibes. So yeah, I wasn't happy. I was highly, highly, highly upset. I just was like, girl, how did this work? David, do you need some spectacles? Do you need to get the little bifocals to like, or the what is those? The binoculars to like zoom in when stuff is happening so you can be prepared of what's going on? Why do you let that happen? Like, the level of dedication you gave the first half of the show with championship changed. It should have been the same level of dedication to no shenanigans because he was helping them out, the mother truckers out a few times when he was like realizing that Miami Sweet Heat and the Fab Four was doing shenanigans, and he helped them out. Let's get this right, and so he needs to have the same level of energy and dedication to make sure that Abilene can't keep every week coming here with a title that she does not deserve to have. And I'm not understanding. I'm not. everybody she has faced has been better than her, and yet magically she is still champion. I don't understand. And so, yeah.
It's a hot mess. You hate to see it. Um, I just had to let you go because you, Miss Ma'am, have all the things to say about her, and we are collectively feeling our feelings when it comes to um Miss Ma'am and Miss Abilene and also Miss Penelope. And the thing is, Penelope had a whole crew behind her. Like Abilene be pulling all these tricks off by herself. And you know how weird and crafty you have to be to really just put all of that in your own mind in order for you to keep the title. Like it's just insane stuff all around. And I hated it so much and it broke my heart because the Beast should not have had to go through this many loops to win a championship that she never lost. It makes no sense. It literally it literally makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Because it's like you said, like a couple weeks ago. It's like David McClain picks and chooses when he wants to lay down the law, and it is really aggravating. Like I really need for him to lay down the law and give the Beast her opportunity back and stand on business for real, for real. Because I'm tired. I'm really tired of it. Like Abilene was acting so horribly, and she was just like, "I got hit. I got hit. Where did you get hit, ma'am? Because I didn't see you get hit, and I did not see the Beast put up any type of things. Like I don't even understand how she even got the brass knucks in her pants. Like I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But this is where we're at, and that's how it ended. And Miss Ma'am is still our aid is still our women's champion for WoW, and it's just aggravating. So yeah. So that's how the episode ended, and I just really, really hope that the Beast gets her lick back at some point. But we just gotta wait and see how this is gonna turn out. Oh God. Um Oh my God. We just gotta wait and see how it turns out. So this of course brings us to the end of our Steph and Cat Talk WoW post show. Thank all of you guys so much for watching the show. I cannot believe that 70 people are now watching this live. I can't believe it, but I'm so grateful for all of you. This is a big moment, and I'm probably, oh God, gonna post about it a little bit later when I'm finished freaking out over other things that are happening. But thank you guys so much for supporting us and supporting the show and supporting WoW and just women's wrestling period, as women's wrestling history continues to take place in front of our faces even as we speak. So Katrina, of course, tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
You guys can follow me on most social media and Cat We Trust, Threads, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter or X. The E is a 3. I just have some new interviews on my channel. Definitely check those out. Just pretty much keep a look out my YouTube channel. I feel like most of my stuff will be on there. Just pretty much for the upseeable future, just because girly is doing a bunch of stuff and a lot of things. And yes, I know, because yes, I know we're at the end of the show that Mercedes did debut. And so yay to that. It is Women's History Month. So yay, Mercedes. But yeah, that's where you guys can follow me.
She looks amazing. Okay, I'm sorry. Um okay, I'm sorry, y'all. You guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy and listen to my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your podcasts. I have a new episode out in collaboration with the Jobber Tears podcast with Janelle from the HR, where we talk about women's rivalries of the Attitude Era with China versus Ivory and Jazz versus Trish Stratus. And of course, next week we will be having our new episode talking about the Four Horsewomen and their different rivalries. So I am excited about that. And I probably will be doing a new episode of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast properly this weekend. I'm not sure when, but just be on the lookout for it because some intriguing stuff is continuing to go on, and it's just really crazy. And it's WrestleMania season, so it's just insane stuff, and I'm just really happy, to even be a part of it. And of course, if you want to know where you can watch WoW, you can watch it on YouTube. You can also go on wowe.com and type in your zip code or what city you live in or what state you live in and figure out where it comes on for you you on your cable provider if you do have TV in that way. And you can also watch it on Hulu and on Pluto TV as well. And every Monday afterward, they have every match on YouTube as well, so you can check it out there. And just continue to support the girls and support women's wrestling, not only just during Women's History Month, but always and forever, okay? So this, of course, has been Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And in Cat We Trust. And until next time, thank you all so much for watching. 71 viewers, praise the Lord. Thank you. Bye, y'all.